More than 20 years after the cartoon first came out, animation fans are completely in shock after finding out there's a huge chance the Pig family's house is actually real. And the show just never told us about it.
Oh my God!
The Pig family house. A ton of fans did a double take when photos of a real-life house, looking exactly like the one the Pig family lives in, started going around the internet. The pictures always showed the house from far away, but you could already notice details so incredibly similar that you just couldn't ignore them. The exact same style, the color, the roof, and to top it all off, the photos also showed that the house sat right on top of a hill, just like Peppa's house. For the longest time, nobody had any idea where this place was, and because of that, a bunch of people thought the photos were photoshopped and that the house wasn't even real. But as crazy as it sounds, it didn't take very long for them to find out that this spitting image of the Pig family house actually exists. Though we should probably warn you right now that this place hides a mystery that absolutely nobody would ever guess. The real fake house. Believe it or not, the house people started sharing all over the internet is 100% real, and fans tracked down its exact location. And the answer is that it's over in Denmark. But there is a catch. The place isn't actually a real house, but rather an old church that nobody uses anymore. People call it the sand-buried church, since a massive part of it ended up completely covered in sand. This sand-buried church is way older than the cartoon about the little pig, because it was built back between 1355 and 1387. From the way it looks right now, as you can probably guess, nobody uses it as a church these days. In fact, the King of Denmark ordered it to be closed down back in the year 1795, which was 231 years ago. And if we do some quick math to see how old this building actually is, we hit a much bigger number. The real-life fake Peppa house has been standing for over 600 years. In other words, it's older than several countries that exist in the world today. That is definitely wild. It is pretty crazy that such an ancient place looks so much like the Pig family house, but even though it's a church, there is a really good chance that the guys who created Peppa Pig, Neville Astley and Mark Baker, actually took the idea from the sand-buried church when they were designing the little pig's house. Maybe they stumbled across the place during a trip to Denmark and thought its simple style was pretty cool. Another real house. Having a church look exactly like Peppa's house is already pretty crazy, but it looks like even the new Pig family house that was built right before Evie was born also has a real-world version because people found an identical house out there. And the most shocking part is that this change to the pig's house happened just a little while ago. This means it's highly unlikely that some rich fan built this house just to match Peppa's new house or something like that. This place has definitely been standing there for a long time, which shows it might have inspired the change, just like the sand-buried church probably inspired the original style of the little pig's house. Unlike the sand-buried church, nobody really knows for sure where this place is located, which has left fans of the show super curious. But we can't act like it isn't a massive coincidence to have two houses look so identical to Peppa's houses, one matching the older version and the other looking exactly like the new version. Some people think this second real-life spot might also be a church that people took photos of from far away. The Pig family. With so many things from the world of Peppa Pig coming from real life, a crazy question pops up that makes a lot more sense than people want to admit. What if the Pig family itself is real? Not in the sense of pigs walking around on two legs and talking, but rather in the form of real people who gave them the idea to create Peppa, George, Daddy Pig, Mummy Pig, and even Evie, especially since this is something that happens a whole lot in cartoons. Just take the case of Bluey. A ton of characters came straight from the family of Joe Brumm, the guy who created the series. Some of his relatives even voiced those characters, like his parents who play Bluey's grandparents. We only found out about this because the creator wanted to share it, but if he hadn't wanted to, we would never have known. And that could be exactly what went down with Peppa Pig. A real-life family gave them the inspiration to make the main characters, but nobody ever told us about it. Now seriously, after all these details and Easter eggs, I think we deserve your subscription, don't we? Peppa's Theme Park. It's good to keep in mind that, setting aside all these real-world lookalikes, Peppa's world is often physically built at Peppa Pig theme parks, where little kids who love the cartoon go with their parents to play and get a little bit closer to the characters they love so much. Because of that, if you don't want to, or just aren't in the mood to travel all the way to the sand-buried church, this is a much more laid-back trip option for any Peppa Pig fan to enjoy. Peppa's Town Square. And you want to know the craziest part? Apparently, it's not just Peppa's house that we can find in real life. There is a town square that shows up in several episodes of the cartoon, and it looks so much like Portobello Road, which is a street in London in the Notting Hill neighborhood, that there's no way you can miss it. We aren't talking about one or two similar details, but literally everything. The number of shops, the super colorful buildings, and even the way the houses were built in that old school style. You can find all of that in the town square of Peppa Pig's town and right over on Portobello Road. It's no secret to anyone that Peppa Pig always throws in British elements, mostly because the cartoon is from there and became a massive hit across the whole country, kind of like what happened with Bluey in Australia. Because of that, it makes total sense that one of London's most famous streets, which is packed with tourists visiting all the time, gave them the idea to create a piece of Peppa Pig's town. Peppa's Museum. Another very cool place in Peppa Pig's town is that museum the characters visit sometimes. But you can tell it's not actually that original when you look at the British Museum in London. The two are so identical, and once you notice it, you can't unsee it. And it's not just on the outside that they're the exact same thing. When you look inside, it becomes completely obvious which museum they copied. You can see rooms packed with ancient artifacts from kings, and also areas with those giant dinosaur bones. Exactly the way it looks inside the British Museum in London if you were to visit it in real life. The thing that changes the most from one place to the other is that the London Museum sits right in the middle of streets and buildings, while the museum in Peppa Pig's town sits way up on top of a hill, just like pretty much everything else we see in her town. That is the only change you notice right off the bat. Other than that, the two are truly identical. Is it in London? The biggest reason for us to think that Peppa Pig's town isn't actually the London of the cartoon is that Peppa and her friends have already gone on a trip there. In the universe of the show, London is actually called London, and it looks completely different from Peppa's town, with much more of a big city vibe, packed with streets, buildings, and cars everywhere. Aside from the city of London itself, we also got the chance to see the Queen, who, even though they don't say her full name, is definitely the real-life Queen Elizabeth II, who passed away back in 2022. And speaking of which, do you remember that totally wild part where she jumps off a bridge while driving a school bus? Well, you should know that this actually happened in real life. Okay, it wasn't Queen Elizabeth who made that jump in real life, but rather a bus driver named Albert Gunter. The guy even received a medal for bravery for what he did, and that moment was remembered forever in British history. Does Peppa Pig's town exist? And real-life London wasn't the only place Peppa ended up visiting. To be honest, she has done this quite a few times, even going to check out New York City and Paris, which makes it clear that all the cities in our real world seem to exist in the Peppa Pig universe. And it actually gets kind of funny, because it gives the impression that the only city from the cartoon that isn't in the real world is Peppa Pig's town itself. Except all of that changes if our theory about Peppa Pig's town is right, and it actually does exist, just under a different name. If we took all the real-life places that have made an appearance in Peppa Pig and threw them all together, you could totally build Peppa Pig's town in real life, but maybe we don't even need to do all that. Even though it's pretty hard to find a town with that name packed with talking animals, it's not that big of a stretch to think that some normal town served as the main blueprint for the town in the cartoon, since they took a street and a museum from London and dropped them right inside Peppa Pig's town. You could easily assume that Peppa lives in some kind of alternative London. Except there is one detail that keeps that from working, and we already touched on that subject a bit earlier. The real catch is that Peppa Pig's town feels much more like a small countryside town, since almost everything there sits way up on top of a hill. There are quite a few towns like that over in Europe, so don't doubt for a second that one of them gave them the idea to make Peppa Pig's town. And speaking of which, if we consider that the cartoon is just the way Peppa sees the world, it might be that her town isn't even called Peppa Pig's town in real life, but rather has a normal name that she changes inside her own head. Maybe the real name is actually the name of some little countryside town in Europe that they've been putting in the cartoon this whole time, and we just never realized it. We'll wrap up here, but if you also love everything involving pop culture, check out these 2 video options we're leaving for you on your screen. You can watch either of the 2, you're sure to love them.